Okay, I'm going to do a part 2.5 because this bit should have come a little bit earlier, but yeah, it's memories all a little bit scattered. Not getting any younger. Anywho, yeah, so going back to underage drinking, there was one, gonna say it was a Friday night. Adam and I have got on our bikes and cycled down to the Swan, with as much cash as we could scrape together, bought Grolsch. Now Grolsch is one of those, it's an expensive lager. It's got a pop top. You've got a cage and a little ceramic top with a rubber bung on it. You pop the cage and then you drink your beer. So we bought maybe half a crate of Grolsch, and then we've got on our bikes and started to cycle towards Barnston, where our respective girlfriends lived. Now, obviously being at the same school, you develop a friend group outside of your friend group, if you like. So there's the likes of Richard Ball, who was in my form, Grant Jonas, who was in Adam's form, and then all the other usual suspects: Lee Russell, William Stiles, Darren Cox, and then the two girls that we used to knock around with. Anyway, they lived at Barnston, so their friend group was like our friend group in Felsted, but there was this crossover because the two girls went to Girl Guides in Felsted, and anyway, so we've cycled down past the mill, got to the bridge just before Absol Park. We thought, right, okay, we've had enough of cycling between the two of us with this crate, so why don't we stuff our pockets with what we can carry and leave the crate under the bridge to retrieve later. So that's exactly what we've done. I think we've taken maybe 4 bottles with us each, and yeah, so far so good. Feeling a little bit tipsy, obviously, because we're expending energy. Probably hadn't eaten, maybe had, I don't know, but it's kind of during the summer, so there's plenty of light, plenty of daylight around, and we've got over to Barnston, we've got beer, and I actually remember sitting on the curb outside Julian Cracknell's house, and I'm taking a swig of this beer, and I said, oh man, this tastes funny. And it's at that point you look at the label and this stuff was out of date. The landlord had pulled a crafty one on us and sold us stuff that he couldn't sell. But who are we going to tell? We're only 15, 16 years old. So anyway, so at that point I started to feel really, really, really unwell. And I was taken from outside where I was to round the back of the wall behind one of the girls' houses, and then duly dumped. They've gone off wandering around the village, and then on one occasion when they've come back, Adam's had this attack of guilt and decided to phone my parents. My dad's turned up in this beaten up old Vauxhall VX 2300 estate car, willow green. That's the theme. He's picked me up off the verge, hung a carrier bag over my ears, put me in the car, belted me in and roared me back over the Felsted, dragged me round to the back garden, sat me in one of the garden chairs and said to me, do you want a drink? And I said, oh God, yes. So he's gone in. I can hear the kettle turn on, and I thought, oh, he's going to make me a cup of coffee. Oh, good old boy. Yeah, so he's come out, mug in hand, hand pointed towards me. Drink that, all of it. And I've gone to take a drink thinking, coffee, yeah, I can handle coffee. That's not coffee. And I've said, that's not coffee. He said, drink it, all of it. Warm, salty water. Yeah, he knew what he was doing. Oh man, I was so violently ill for a long time. And yeah, I remember my jeans being wet. Eventually going upstairs, getting into bed, the room absolutely spinning off its axis. I know how to deal with that now. I didn't then. Back then it was try and focus on one point in the room or out of the room until you passed out. Yeah, not a good night. Okay, so winding the clock back a little bit further. One of the things that Adam decided to do was brew some home brew. It's like, without his parents' knowledge. So how do you go about doing that in a, I don't know, temperature controlled, or a place that's not going to have massive fluctuations in temperature? Excuse me. The loft. So we've got this homebrew kit. It's up in the loft. It's all been set up, and it's been up there for maybe a week or so. And I think every once in a while you're supposed to go up there and let the pressure out, let it ferment. What I know about making beer, you could write on the back of a postage stamp. So anyway, it's one afternoon. Adam's gone up to check. I've stayed down in the office. Bearing in mind there's all these thousands of pounds worth of computers sitting around in the office, so he's gone upstairs. I've called up to him, your dad's home. And he's come legging back from the far side of the loft. Next thing I know, it's these 2 feet. It might have only been one, but feet coming down through the ceiling in the office. Legs one either side of the rafter. So in an attempt to escape being caught up in the loft with what might have been a bit of a telling off, just now. It's a major incident. It's plasterboard, dust and debris all over the bloody room. I'm laughing now, and I'm sure Adam would laugh now. Yeah, that was serious. But in amongst all these other things, there was a time, and again, most of these stories revolve around either cars or alcohol. So there's one time, what I need to explain, you get to a certain age and you kind of develop favourites. Adam had always been my best friend, and I kind of introduced Adam and Jack, and they got on really well together. So they kind of paired up, not to spite me, but in spite of me. So they'd hang around together, and then Nigel and I kind of paired up, and we hung around together. So it was always Adam and Jack, Nigel and Nigel. So we'd go off in my car, they'd go off in Jack's car. So that tells you what age. But on this particular occasion, I think the two of them were round at Jack's house, and there'd been some serious alcohol consumed. Ended up with a smashed shower, damage to the toilet. Long story short, Adam and Jack were banned from seeing each other by Jack's parents and Adam's parents, which kind of put them both at loose ends. And I think that was a difficult time. It didn't last for very long, but it does kind of. I think there was another incident where there was an awful lot of talcum powder got sprayed around in that computer room. Not by me, but it all added to the dislike from the parents of some of the other members of the group. Anyway, back to my alcohol. That was a really bad night for me. And then once I passed my driving test, I didn't drink because I wanted to drive. So I became the designated driver. In fact, I used to get invited to places that I wasn't invited to. Like one day or one night going over to the Copford Windmill. I wasn't invited to the Copford Windmill, but I was invited to drive there and then come and pick them up again later and drive them home in really, really thick fog. And then drive around everybody's houses and drop each one of them off. Nice, that must have been a real soft touch back then. But hey, whatever. Anyway, that's it for part 2.5.